Monbasa, Mvita, multinational conspiracies, human health. When we talk of health, we're talking about the normal functioning of the body. When something goes wrong with the body, we say your state of health is not okay. You are ill or you are sick. From time immemorial, human beings had ways of taking care of one another or themselves when they were sick. There were herbs. They would put incisions. Sometimes they would put incision in a place and put a horn and then suck with the horn to get some of the blood out and then apply herbs or ashes of different kinds. It's not only in human beings that this is seen. Those who have kept pets like dogs or cats, when a cat or a dog has problems with the stomach, you will see it eating grass. That is the first time you see an animal that is carnivorous eating grass. It's not eating grass to get satisfied, it's eating grass to induce vomiting or a cure of some sort. So it knows that it's not in a good state of health, it has to do something about it. And from time immemorial, there were specific people who were tasked with taking care of people's health. Mostly it was curative. I'm going to talk about some things that have been happening that have affected people in different ways. Formerly, it was easy for everybody to access medical attention. You would get some chicken, you would get some goats, and you got over with it, or even give some grains. As time went on, people had different ways of treating themselves until, was it before the First World War or a major war was fought? Should be. That is when now the kind of hospitals we have were introduced. And this became institutionalized places where people would go and those who have got medical attention would attend to them. At first, it was charged some little fee. The fee kept increasing, but when states came together, some states organized in that curative measures were done free. They would collect resources from different places and attend to those who had those problems. But people had now taken curative careers and they were to be paid by governments. So some institutions started giving specialized treatment of the status of the people who were rich, nobles. And they would charge because these people had money. That developed into what we have now. You go to hospitals and you are charged. But when some countries became economically able, most of them decided to take the health sector because it's very important for the nation. A sick person cannot work for the nation. There's very little output. Some countries took that totally. Like, I remember when I was a small boy, we were living with my dad and mom and the rest of the members of the family in a little town in Kenya. By then, it was the cleanest town in East Africa. Now, Kigali has taken that. Congratulations, Kigali. But ours was the cleanest. That was the town of Nakuru. And what used to happen when we got sick, we would go to the hospital, the government hospital. You were not charged anything if you went to the government hospital. You went there, they had cards. You didn't carry books, no. They had cards. You would go for examination. What do we call it? Is it consultancy or examination? Examination. And then from there, you would be referred for treatment if you had to go for injection, if you had to be taken to the ward, if you had to get medicine. And you paid totally nothing. You present yourself there. You get treated, you go home. That was all. That was all. But some people who have got big jobs had things that they called insurance schemes. They did not want to go to the hospitals where common men and women went. And they would go to hospitals of their caliber, where it will be paid. They'll be given very specialized treatment, like the bosses there. There they would pay. And from other countries, that developed into a trade, business. So they started having things for the rich. And when tourists came here and other places, there were special hospitals for people who are not. I told you when Kenya got independent, Kenya had been ruled by the British Empire. It was a province of the British Empire, and the treatment was different. A person of European origin or Viking origin had privileges. A person of Asiatic origin, because Kenyan tribes are composed of that. We have Kenyan tribes of Kenyans of European ancestry. We have a tribe of Kenyans of the Indian ancestry. And we have Kenyans from also some other Asiatic country origin. The class was, those of European origin had everything up there because they were the rulers. Those of the Indian origin, they were the traders and technicians in many of the things, so they had the middle treatment. There were some hospitals that specialized for them, so they would go to their hospital. But then the rest of the Africans, we were put in the low cadre. There was discrimination within Kenya. It's interesting. And the person who was put down the ladder was the indigenous owners of the country, the blacks. And that developed into a business we call medical insurance cover. It was there happening in the other places. In Kenya, it came as a result of that. So the rich Kenyans also who did not want to do that started going to the other places. Until some time, the government hospitals were paying nothing. You are being charged with nothing. But worldwide, people realized medical insurances and these other insurances were making good money. So there was an encouragement towards that line, and a decrease of resources. You know what happens when businesses begin? And people can run businesses at the big politicians also. They simply sidelined the other side, and financially it was not able, it collapsed. So now we reached a point where people had to pay to go to hospital. And came now the insurance for the people, so that when you are sick, you don't pay. So you give some money every time, so that in case you fall sick. That's how that trend developed in Kenya. I don't know how it was in those other places, but I think it's followed a similar trend. I understand hospitals in Europe, that is from the friends I was interacting with who come from Europe. In the public hospitals, you still don't pay. Everything is done free of charge. I had a classmate who went to work in Thailand, and he was telling me they don't charge people in the hospitals. And even the king, when he was sick, he would go to the public hospital for treatment. Treatment is super. So even the king is treated where the rest of the civilians are treated free of charge. But these companies make good money. So most of the countries, America and whatever, moved on with those covers, where if you are sick, you can be flown to a superior hospital somewhere. If you come for safari to Africa, tours in Africa were called safari. So when I say safari, some dictionaries explain that, but most don't. It's a Swahili word meaning journey. So they started with that, and it was a booming business, and now people could not abandon it for what was there at first. So those who did not have money suffered more. We've been having those things, trying to rectify the situation. The government that comes now, we have a program called SHA, trying to equalize those things. I don't know if it will be able to equalize. They are making their level best to try to put back things to slightly to where they were, because now it's generally everybody paying. But if the economy would be strong, then we would not even need to have those. It would be like the past, where you went to hospital and you are treated virtually free of charge. I experienced it. My retirement age is just so. Saying it is not long time ago when I was a small child. It's long time ago for those who were born recently, but it's something I experienced. I got treatment many times that way, without paying anything. So we should look forward towards that, with SHA improvement and all those other things improved. But the ultimate thing should be to get this thing out of business, because all these are businesses to do with medical. Worldwide, the big hospitals, public hospitals are operating without that. But those people with money and the companies that have been formed there, medical insurance companies, are making a kill in that area. Because medical health is something you cannot determine. You don't determine when you are getting sick. And some treatments are very expensive. But those being some of the conspiracies, putting business into the medical, serious business for making money. Other conspiracies have been in the human health sector. Worldwide, there are some people who have gotten diseases that have called for transplant of organs. You're told if you don't get a certain organ, you will die. And people mostly call their relatives or volunteers. And this is a sector that has been misused. We even had such a thing. There were some people in this country and other countries, it's not only Kenya, that have been now commercializing this. They cheat people, which is unethical. That you should go and sell your organs. Here people are not selling organs. It was a relative or somebody, you donate. But some hospitals, some were discovered in Kenya and closed. In fact, the government acted fast and they were shut. License cancelled. Some people would cheat others quietly, secretly, to go and donate organs, and some ended up in a very bad state. But others do not do that. They engage gangs that actually hijack, kidnap, murder, and withdraw organs. And then the organs are labeled as organs that have been donated. So if you have an organ problem, you go and you are told, we shall find you a donor. And some of those organs that are not needed urgently, that do not die off urgently, like the heart has a time limit, I think. Is it? It can be frozen for some time. Like the heart and those very sensitive organs that need immediate transplant, you will still get those organs. And if the thanks can be able, it's worldwide. It is a syndicate to do with human health. They kidnap, they murder, but it is done by people who are specialized so that they don't damage the important things, the organs that are needed. So those organs are got in the name of donation. Investigations have been going on worldwide and those things happen. That's why sometimes some people are trafficked, told they are going for jobs or they are going for big businesses elsewhere, and they disappear. Because what they don't realize, what they themselves are carrying is valuable. Their organs, money, starting from the heart, going to your liver, going to everything that can be transferred is money. So you are lured with money, with false passports, hidden, connected companies, and once you join, you never seen again. That has happened. Organ. Second one has been human health, to do with birth, maternal health. And in this one also, things have happened. There was a case when we had two twins who met by internet and they appeared the same, and maybe the internet, the genes appeared the same, but one was stolen in hospital. Another grew up with the family, and the other one grew up with the other family, knowing that it was their family. It was only when they were writing on the internet that they realized they looked similar. Everything was almost similar, and they had to track one another. Coincidence by nature, by God. And they ended up meeting. It has happened. So some hospitals, if you are not careful, children are stolen. Some. It's a reality. Cartels. And these cartels are done in advance because there are some people who claim, rumors go like that, that if you cannot be able to give birth to a child, you can't buy a child. You don't you don't go and adopt using the normal procedure. You go through the syndicate. So a mother gives birth, and suddenly if there was a stillbirth, after some time, especially those who are unconscious or they were in a state they could not understand, when they come to, they are told, oh, madam, we are sorry, you delivered safely, but the child passed on. So you had a stillbirth. Or the child cried twice and that was that. Not knowing there has been an exchange and such a children are sold. These have to do with rackets within those institutions. There are those, especially in the African customs, back then. Nowadays people value them, but back then people used to see girls not as valuable as boys, because they knew a girl will grow up, then she will get married. The only thing you will get from a girl was dowry, and then she was no longer a member of your family. So they valued the boys who would stick as members of the family to the end. And sometimes when some ladies give birth to a girl and another girl, the husbands start complaining. So for those who want to keep their marriage or are afraid of such a things happening, and they have criminal connections, they connect with the same type of people. So that if they go to give birth, and a child happens to be a girl, and somebody has given birth to a boy, but is in a state that he cannot be able to understand him or herself, there is a swap. Then that's where the husband looks and the child does not look like you, but if you're of the same race, you never know. He may look like your great-great-grandfather and you didn't see your great-grandfather. So that is your child. Such a things happen. Swaps. Stealing, open. And people make money that way. But also, other things have been happening. These ones, they have not gone down. I don't know if Kenya has got such a law. Somebody who carries a pregnancy, what word do we use for this one? Understand me that way. A lady who, when the husband, another lady cannot be able to conceive, she's functioning normally, but her womb, they are called surrogate mothers. The womb of the other lady can produce over the egg, but it does not implant, or if it implants, it does not stay. After a short while, it aborts. So they want a lady who is okay. So the fertilization process takes place, but now they remove that fertilized embryo and implant it in the lady who is okay. So the child grows to terms, doesn't have the DNA of this lady because it is the man and the woman who conceived this, or it was done in the laboratory and it was implanted in this surrogate mother. And sometimes these people are left in a state because once you carry a pregnancy, it becomes part of you. So when you give birth, you don't want to let go. It has brought problems. It has brought psychological stress. And sometimes it was done in a manner that could not be explained. So sometimes what happens, some of the surrogate mothers are able to stick and claim the child is theirs, and it creates lots of fracas. It happens. Then there is this thing also. These ones are legal. but also some people carry out these things illegally, because what he said is a healthy man, you can be able to go and donate your semen, still that help. And a woman who does not want to get involved with a man or wants a certain type of child would come and have a test tube baby that has been sired by your semen. But some centers have made that a center of trade, and they make money out of that. It's a business. Go donate, you are paid. Go donate, you are paid. Go donate, you are paid. Another thing also that has been misused in the human health sector is blood transfusion. Blood transfusion in most places is supposed to be free, but some places also, secretly, it is sold. And some people donate, especially those with rare blood groups. Because of the need and the urgency, they donate and make money, sometimes good money out of it. So they are able to talk with people and say, I'm going to donate. But the patient has to A, B, C, D, because it's my blood. Or else you can search for blood from elsewhere. This happens. There are times when some things happen that are also illegal. Some things like people having a good time, ladies and gentlemen, they have had one or two, or they have just gotten excited with one another, or they were moving in some places and they met and magic happened and they conceive. Some decide to get rid of the child. In a country like Kenya, abortion is illegal. But there are illegal places. There are people with places that purport to be legal in whatever they are doing. They put it under different writings, but they carry out that process. Conspiracies. Multinational. I'm talking of multinational. Even these institutions are multinational. They have got their offices here, their offices in that other continent, and in those other continents, and they don't do it under that cover. They do it under maternal health and make it appear very innocent. So like in Nairobi, there was a time when in Nairobi River, people went and found embryos and thrown into and such like places, sometimes in the dustbin. It's as a result of that. Some institutions make money. They charge with the weeks of the fetus. How many weeks? This much. How many weeks? This much. What cover shall we give it? This cover. So automatically, when you go, it is just maternal health. But there's a conspiracy within. I think in some countries it's legal to do that. In the world, in Kenya, I don't know if it has been happening, but in some parts of the world, euthanasia, self-suicide because of a problem, because of a medical problem, is allowed by law in some countries. Some countries, you're not allowed. In fact, you are just supposed to protect life if you are a doctor. So these conspiracies sometimes happen in certain countries, and there are institutions that run across. Just the way they do maternal, this person has got this problem and has got that problem, and we can be able to agree on a certain, and the process is done. Died while undergoing treatment. So there have been conspiracies. I'm just mentioning a few. From murdering to sell organs, from exchange of babies, surrogate mothers who walk away with the children, or people who do, because this thing for surrogate mothers, I don't know if it's legal here. Some countries it's legal. It sometimes brings problems. And other places where women are just allowed come, give birth, and go. I think sometimes it's good, but the way it's done is when it's commercial. Because there are some girls who conceive and they don't want the child. Instead of aborting the child or throwing the child in the dustbin, it's better if they can come to an institution and give birth and leave the child there. There's no problem, so that somebody can be able to adopt. But you find some of the institutions have got conspiracies where children are sold. We had some rumors of some preachers here who will go to countries abroad and would have miracle prayers, and there were institutions within and in other countries in the world where they go and they know they are going to buy babies, but they don't buy babies. Before you go, you pretend you are expectant, behave like so, put some clothes within, and you travel. Your days are due, and you had your child on safari somewhere, but you know you have spent a certain amount of money. So such a conspiracies are in the medical sector. There are also conspiracies of people stealing drugs from government hospitals, because governments acquire these drugs with the money that has been budgeted for. But instead of it being used for the purpose it's intended, some people steal from those stores in the form of them being dispatched to treatment centers, and they end up in private hospitals. I think I've consumed a lot of time, so let me just cut it short from there. Try to find out what has been happening. Multinational conspiracies, because it's multinational. I'm talking of multinational. And even countries that call themselves whatever, where those laws are illegal, these things are practiced under different laws. Pursue, I see a lot of time has passed. That's my take for now.